I am Rajendra Bade, and today we are going to solve problems on axially loaded bars, bars with composite cross sections. Let's start. So, members of composite cross section, what exactly does this mean? Try to understand. Here, there is a copper tube, and the tube is surrounding a steel rod. Internal diameter of copper tube, that is external diameter of steel. So copper tube is rigidly connected to steel. So superficially it is a single body. The composite bar elongates or gets compressed under compressive load as a single body. But when you take a cross section, you realize that there are two materials supporting that axial load. So this is one example of a bar that has composite cross section. Cross section is made of two materials. Now here is one more example. Here it is RCC column, reinforced cement concrete. So column is vertical member. This column I have shown in the diagram, it is actually longer than the shown in the diagram. That is why there are break lines here. Superficially it appears the column is made of concrete. But if you take a cross section of the column, you realize that there are steel rods running along the axis of the column. So in this diagram, 3 plus 3 plus 2. I have shown 8 steel rods. These are vertical rods running parallel to the axis of the column. So this is reinforced cement concrete. It is cement concrete column which is reinforced with steel rod. Its strength is increased using steel in it. So RCC column made of concrete and steel. Now here is one example. There is aluminum tube resting on floor. Inside the tube there is copper rod. Now unlike this composite tube or composite rod, here aluminum and copper are not rigidly connected to each other. This copper tube is simply placed inside the aluminum tube. And both these bodies, that is copper rod and aluminum tube, are resting on the floor. Okay. Now here is a disc. Let's assume this disc has weight very small as compared to the load we are going to apply on this assembly. So its weight is negligible. So thin, weightless, rigid plate. Now if this plate is placed in this manner, now it is resting on copper rod. Because I have shown copper rod, we have considered copper rod slightly longer than aluminum tube. So now it is resting on the copper rod and there is a little gap here. Now if you apply a load on the disc, that load is bared by only copper initially. But as you go on increasing this load, of course copper's length will reduce because it is compressive load. And this disc finally will come in contact with the aluminum tube also. And the load will be bared or shared by both the materials. So copper and aluminum are running parallel. In last video, we solved problems on bars in series. Here these are bars running parallel to each other. Okay. One more example here. There are two aluminum wires and a copper wire. And this is hanging load W. So this load W is not taken by just copper wire or just aluminum wire. So this load W is shared by all the three wires. Actually there are two materials involved. So materials are running parallel. So this is again the case. If you take a cross section, the entire cross section which is carrying this load W. So the cross section is made of two aluminum wires and a copper wire. So this is the situation now we are studying. Materials you will find running parallel and sharing a load. How to solve these types of problems? Try to understand. Use conditions of equilibrium. Now load on a composite cross section. That load is resisted by the two materials. That is load resisted by material 1, load resisted by material 2. Resisted means reacted. So these are reactions. The applied load is supported by the two materials, say copper and steel. So load on the composite cross section is load reacted by copper and load reacted by steel. So this is how we apply condition of equilibrium. That is, total load on the cross section is load taken by material 1 plus load taken by material 2. Now try to understand. From very first lecture, you have studied that when it is normal force on a cross section, stress is load upon cross sectional area, or load is stress into area. So we can replace P1 by sigma 1 A1, stress into area, and P2 by sigma 2 A2. Sigma 2 is stress and A2 is corresponding cross sectional area. So if required, this statement which we have created by conditions of equilibrium, same statement you can write in terms of stresses in the two materials. And then we create a relation between deformations. Deformation of material 1 and deformation of material 2 by using geometry of the arrangement. By using geometry of the arrangement. This is what you should understand while solving problems. Do you remember in bars in series how we relate deformations in different bars? Delta 1 plus delta 2 plus delta 3 plus delta 4 and so on is equal to total deformation. In this case, you will have to use geometry of the arrangement. So remember, use conditions of equilibrium. Total load on the composite cross section is load taken by material 1 plus load taken by material 2. And the same statement, if required, you can write in terms of stresses. Then you should use a relation between deformations of the two materials. And how to create this relation? Simple, by geometry of the arrangement. A compound tube consists of a steel tube of 140 mm internal diameter and 160 mm external diameter, and an outer brass tube 160 mm internal diameter and 180 mm external diameter. So outer is brass tube and inner is a steel tube. So it is compound tube. Length of the compound tube is 1.5 meter. If the compound tube carries an actual compressive load of 900 kN, find change in length of each material and also find stresses in each material. Young's modulus is equal to 2 into 10 raised to 5 Newton per millimeter squared, and Young's modulus of brass is 1 into 10 raised to 5 Newton per millimeter squared. When you read a problem, try to understand the entire arrangement. Read slowly. Take care of all details mentioned in the problem. So watch here. This is that brass tube. Outer is brass tube. And external diameter of steel tube is 160 mm and same is internal diameter of brass tube. So brass tube is rigidly connected to the steel tube. And this entire tube is now a single body. Here is a compressive load, push type of force. Find cross-sectional area, hollow cross-section it is. So outer diameter squared minus inner diameter squared. Pi d squared by 4, that is basic formula. Okay. So area of steel, take care of outer and inner diameter, dimensions must be in millimeters. So this is area, cross-sectional area of steel. Similarly, cross-sectional area of brass, outer diameter 180 millimeters, inner diameter 160 millimeters, and complete the calculations. Again, I am suggesting you keep calculators and notebook, pencil with you and do the calculations while watching the video. First step to solve the problem, as I have told you, condition of equilibrium. This load, which is 900 kilonewton, is resisted by these two materials. So these two materials are supporting the load. So total load 900 kilonewton on the cross section is supported by steel PS and brass PB. So load taken by steel or load taken by steel plus load taken by brass, or in other words, load bared by steel plus load bared by brass is equal to total load on the cross section, and that is 900 kilonewton. Okay. PS and PB are in kilonewton. Here it is condition of equilibrium. So if you have taken total load in kilonewton, of course PS and PB are in kilonewton. So PS and PB are in kilonewton. Now second equation we'll have to create. How to create that second relation? Relation between deformation of these two materials. So deformation of brass and deformation of steel. Check here, it is cross sectional. I have taken longitudinal cross section. So outer is a brass tube, inner is steel tube, and it is hollow. Here it is axially compressive load. Remember, even if load is shown along a line, this load is bared by, or this load is uniformly distributed on this entire area. Don't forget that. Now focus on this diagram. Superficially, it is single body because a brass tube is rigidly connected over the steel tube, and when the force is applied, of course it should compress. So here now body is compressed and there is reduction in length, and how much is that? Delta. What you have realized from this geometry? Deformation of steel is equal to deformation of brass. Simple. So this is how we have related deformation. Now put the values. Delta is PL by EA. So here all values corresponds to steel and here all values corresponds to brass. But now one thing. Initial length of both the materials is the same. So length LS and LB are the same. So they'll get cancelled. And now watch here, equation 1 in the two unknowns PS and PB, equation 2 in the two unknowns PS and PB again. So solve these two equations and you will get load taken by steel and load taken by brass. Very simple. So these two things are very important, and that is what you should understand in all the problems we are going to solve. Use condition of equilibrium. That is simple. Total load on the cross section, when it is a composite cross section, total load on a cross section is a load taken by material 1 plus load taken by material 2. And from the geometry of this diagram, we can see that deformation of steel is equal to deformation of brass. So this is how we have created second equation. Now, just solve these two equations. So from equation 2, I have taken ES, AS on the right side. Now taking care of units, you substitute the values. Young's modulus 2 into 10 raised to 5 Newton per millimeter squared for steel. Area of steel 4712 millimeter squared. Then here EB is 1 into 10 raised to 5 Newton per millimeter squared and 5341 millimeter squared. Then PB, it is in kilonewton, don't forget. So PB should be here, PB into 10 raised to 3, you should convert it into Newton. Again on the left hand side also PS should be in Newton, that is PS into 10 raised to 3. But 10 raised to 3 on this side and 10 raised to 3 on this side get cancelled. That is why I am not inserted here. Okay. But remember, you will have to take care of units when you put the values. Okay. And this is how we have created the equation. So this is the relation between PS and PB. Now just put it in equation 1. And this is how you have found out PB. So PB is equal to 325.6 kilonewton. Now put this value of PB again in equation 1 and corresponding value of PS also you will get. So this is how two equations and two unknowns. Simple. You have solved the problem. Now you know what is load on brass and what is load on steel. And if you combine these two values, of course the total load 900. Now stress in steel is load on steel divided by cross-sectional area of steel. Stress in brass is load on brass divided by cross-sectional area of brass. So just substitute the values and get the answers. Now, is it complete answer? Tell me. Is there something missing in the answer? Yes, you will have to write nature of the stresses. Now, of course, it is compressive load, so these are compressive stresses. So write the nature of stress. So stress in steel is 121.9 Newton per millimeter squared compression. Stress in brass is 60.96 Newton millimeter squared compression. Remember, this is very important. It is not just for scoring in your university exams. When you actually design, remember materials behave differently in tension and compression actually. Permissible stresses in materials are different when the material is in tension or material is in compression. For example, concrete is strong in compression but very weak in tension. So the stress is 121.9, that is not enough. You must know nature of the stress, whether it is tension or compression. So develop this habit from this stage only. So stress in steel is 121.9 compression and stress in brass is 60.96 compression. Okay. Now we'll find a deformation. Simple. Deformation is PL by EA. But remember, deformation of the two materials is same in this case. So find either deformation in steel or deformation of brass. And of course, both these values are the same. So delta S is PLLS, delta S is PSLS upon ESS. Put the values, take care of units, and you have found out. And it is decrease in length. So delta S is equal to delta B, and that is a decrease in length. So this is the complete answer. A steel rod of diameter 20 mm is enclosed axially in a hollow copper tube. It is enclosed axially in a hollow copper tube. Outer is copper and inner material is steel. Hollow copper tube of external diameter 30 mm and internal diameter 25 mm. The composite bar is then subjected to an axial pull of 40 kN. Find stresses in the two materials. Take Young's modulus is equal to 2 into 10 raised to 5 megapascal and Young's modulus of copper 1 into 10 raised to 5 megapascal. Do you know how to solve the problem? Yes, we know. It's identical to the last problem. Only the load is tension. When two materials are in parallel, when it is composite cross section carrying a load, then how we solve the problem? We create condition of equilibrium. That is, total load is resisted by material 1 plus material 2. And we relate deformations by geometry of the arrangement. Okay, so let's proceed. Here is outer is copper, inner is steel. It is solid bar. It is carrying tensile loads. Okay, but remember, this load is taken by the entire cross section. Area of steel, pi d squared by 4. Check diameter of steel. Tube is hollow, copper tube is hollow. Outer diameter squared minus inner diameter squared. Basic formula is pi d squared by 4. So this is how we have found out area of copper tube. Now, use conditions of equilibrium. So 40 kN total load on this cross section. Find stresses in the two materials. 40 kN is the total load. So total load is load taken by steel plus load taken by concrete. Relate deformations of the two materials. So delta S is equal to delta C. Delta S is equal to delta C. like in the last problem, since it is a composite bar, deformation is the same. So PSLS upon ESS is equal to PCLC upon ECAC. Lengths will get cancelled, both bars have the same length. So PS is equal to, from this equation, I have just arranged the term properly, put the values taking care of units, and this is how you have created relation between PS and PC. Okay, so put it in equation 1. So you will get one equation with one unknown. And this is how you have found out PC. It is 10.23 kilonewton. Put it in equation 1, you will get PS. So when you use these two conditions, condition of equilibrium and relation in deformations, you create two equations with the loads and solve these two equations in this manner, you will get two values of load. So out of 40 kilonewton total load on the composite cross section, copper is taking 10.23 kilonewton and steel is taking 29.77 kilonewton. So sigma S is equal to PS upon AS. Sigma S is equal to 29.77 into 10 raised to 3 divided by 314.16. So sigma S is equal to 94.76 Newton per millimeter square. Sigma C is PC upon AC. So load on copper we already know, divided by cross sectional area of copper, and you got, don't forget to write unit, don't forget to write nature, and this is how we have found out stress in steel and stress in copper. Read this problem. So reinforced concrete column 50 centimeters, take care of unit, we are going to use 500 millimeters into 500 millimeter. A reinforced concrete column 50 centimeters into 50 centimeters is reinforced with 4 steel bars, each 25 millimeter in diameter. So in the column there are 4 steel bars, diameter of each bar is 25 millimeter. The column is carrying a load of 1000 kilonewton. Columns carry always compressive load, so it is understood. Remember what I said, columns are necessarily vertical members carrying compressive loads. A vertical member carrying compressive load, that is called column. Remember this, a vertical member carrying compressive load, that is called column. There is a separate chapter in strengths of materials on columns. So you will study much more in detail columns in that chapter. But right now just remember this, a vertical member carrying compressive load is a column. So this is a column carrying load 1000 kilonewton. So this load is tensile or compressive? So of course compressive. Okay. Find stresses in concrete and steel. So problem is very much similar to the last two problems. Try to understand. Here it is cement concrete column. It is much more longer than what I have shown in the figure. That is why I have shown here break lines. So it is vertical member. 500 millimeters by 500 millimeters. So superficially it appears a square cement concrete column. But if you take a cross section, you realize that it's not just cement concrete involved here, there are steel rods also. So there are 4 steel rods. So this is how steel rods are running along the column. So materials in parallel here. It is composite cross section. The two materials involved here are concrete and steel. So 4 steel rods and the column is carrying 1000 kilonewton load. So first we'll find area. So area of steel. Each rod has cross sectional area pi d squared by 4. But there are 4 rods. So actual area of steel used here is 1963 millimeter square. Concrete area. Column is 500 millimeters by 5. Total cross section is 500 millimeters by 500 millimeters. But how much is concrete area? So you will have to subtract that steel area. So remaining is concrete area. So area of concrete is 248.04 into 10 raised to 3 millimeter square. Area of steel is 1963 millimeter square. Check here these calculations. Total area we know, subtract steel area and you will arrive at concrete area. Okay, so we know now area of steel, we know area of concrete. Now use conditions of equilibrium. It's obvious. 1000 kilonewton load is shared by steel and concrete. Then relate deformations of the two materials. So of course it is a single body superficially. Length reduces as a single body. So deformation of steel is equal to deformation of concrete. So as usual in last two problems the same calculations we did. Length is same. So relation between PS and PC now you will get. Put values as usual. And this is relation between PS and PC. Now replace PS by 0.1131 PC in equation 1. So put in equation 1 and you have arrived at PC value. So this is load taken by concrete. Out of 1000 kilonewton, 898.4 kilonewton is carried by concrete and remaining is carried by steel. So load on concrete we have found out, load on steel we have found out. Now stresses in concrete and steel. Stress in steel is load on steel divided by cross-sectional area of steel. And it is compression. Stress in concrete is load on concrete divided by cross-sectional area of concrete. And it is compressive. Don't forget to write nature of stresses. So this is how we have solved this problem. Simple. Correct? Now listen what I am telling you. The three problems we have solved up till now on composite cross sections. The members were known. All material properties were known. The members were described properly. The load on the members were given. And we were asked to find stress. Do you remember again and again I am telling you three types of problems on strengths of materials? First type of problem, load and member you know and to find stress. That type of problems we have solved in this case, problem number 1, 2 and 3. Now, you must be able to solve second type and third type of problems. Which is that second type of problem? Member is known and safe stresses in materials of the member you know. What maximum load that member can carry? That is to find safe load on the member. So to find safe load on a member, you must know safe stress in materials of the member. So safe stress known and to find safe load. That is the second type of problem. And third type of problem, that member is not in existence at all. That means you are designing the member. How much load that member should carry will be known to you. So load that is going to come on the member you know, and now you decide cross-sectional area of the member. But of course you must know the material properties. You must know the safe stress in material. So knowing safe stress, to find cross-sectional area to carry particular load. So you decide how much must be the cross-sectional area. So before that member comes into reality, you take certain decisions. What must be the cross-sectional area? So such type of problems are called design problems. So three types of problems. So let's proceed. Read the problem. Again it is RCC column. A reinforced concrete column 50 cm by 50 cm is reinforced with steel bars each of 25 mm in diameter. The column should carry a load of 2000 kilonewton. Find reinforcement required. Reinforcement required, that means how much steel to be used. We are asked to find how much steel we should use. What should be the cross-sectional area of steel? and that decision we are going to make. So now we are design engineers. Okay, and for that purpose, what you should know? Allowable stress. Allowable stress in steel is 120 megapascal and allowable stress in concrete is given 6 megapascal. Young's modulus of steel is 200 gigapascal. Young's modulus of concrete 14 gigapascal. So we know necessary information and we are going to take decision how much should be the cross-sectional area of steel. And since it is clearly given that each steel bar is 25 millimeter diameter, so we are going to find out how many bars are required. Do you remember in the last problem there were 4 bars given, but in this case that decision we are going to take. So we are going to design it. Okay, let's continue. So here is a concrete column. It is carrying a compressive load P. Cross-sectional area of steel. I am not shown here steel, but there is. How many steel bars? We don't know. We are going to decide that. Let number of bars to be used N. Each bar has cross-sectional area pi d squared by 4. So area of steel we know. In terms of N, of course. Now area of concrete is 500 millimeters by 500 millimeters, that is total cross-sectional area, and we should subtract steel area. So that is concrete area. So concrete area is 500 into 500, that is 250 into 10 raised to 3 minus AS. Okay. Now use conditions of equilibrium. Total load on the cross section is 200, that is load shared by steel plus load shared by concrete. So now this is very important. When you are second and third type of problems, try to understand in some. When you are using safe stresses, also known as allowable stresses, which are the other terms used for this? Do you remember? Working stresses, permissible stresses. So when allowable stresses or working stresses are known, then you create this relation in terms of stresses. So I have replaced PS by sigma S AS and PC by sigma C AC. Now in calculations, we use stress in Newton per millimeter square and cross-sectional area in millimeter squared. That is why the load must be in Newton. So I have written this statement again in terms of stresses in this manner. But most important thing, remember this. When safe stresses are given, you write this statement not in terms of loads but in terms of stresses. So I have deliberately highlighted this statement. So using conditions of equilibrium, this is the relation we have created between stresses and not directly in loads. Okay. So now put the values. So 2000, that is equal to sigma S AS plus sigma C into AC. AC how much? 250 into 10 raised to 3 minus AS. So this is the first equation. Relate deformations of the two materials. Okay. So that is obvious. Delta S is equal to delta C. So put corresponding values. But remember, once again, here delta S, we have not mentioned here PL by EE, because now we want relation between stresses. So PL by EA instead of delta is sigma L by E. PL by EA in that statement, P by A is sigma. So delta you can write in terms of stresses also. So remember second and third type of problems in SOM. When safe stresses are given and you are interested in area, or if safe stresses are given and you are interested in safe load, then write these two equations in terms of stresses. That is relation between loads in terms of stresses and relation between deformation also you write in terms of stresses. So this is the equation. Now lengths are same. So finally you get this is out, the relation between stresses. Let's proceed. Let steel be stressed up to its limit. what is this? What we are doing now? Try to understand. Actual stresses in steel and concrete in this column follow these two equations. This is the relation between stresses. So in this column, stress in steel is 15 times stress in concrete. And when you put these values of stresses here, the total load the two materials resisting is 2000 kilonewton. Don't directly substitute sigma steel as 120 megapascal and sigma concrete as 6 megapascal in this equation. That is mistake, because these are not stresses in steel and concrete in this column. Try to understand. These are not stresses in steel and concrete in this column. These are simply conditions. That is, in this column, stress in steel should not exceed 120 megapascal and stress in concrete must not exceed 6 megapascal. So stress in steel must be 120 or less than 120. Stress in concrete in this column must be 6 or less than 6 megapascal. So here we are simply instructed that stresses in the two materials must not exceed these two values, but exactly how much is stress in these two materials we are not sure right now. So you cannot use these two values here. Remember this. Okay. So that is why we are proceeding in this manner. Listen, let steel be stressed up to its limit. What does that mean? Under this 2000 Newton load, let stress in steel is 120 megapascal. Okay. So put sigma s is equal to 120 megapascal in equation 2 and check what we get. So 120, I have substituted value of 120 in this equation. So 120 equal to 15 sigma c. So sigma c is equal to 8 megapascal. So if you allow steel to stress up to its limit, that is in this column, if stress in steel is 120 megapascal, then stress in concrete will be 8 megapascal. And stress in concrete exceeds the limit. It is dangerous. It must not happen. Stress in concrete must remain 6 or less than 6. So that means we cannot allow stress in steel 120 megapascal even if it is safe for steel. 120 megapascal stress is allowed in steel. But it is not steel alone involved here. There is concrete also with steel, and if stress in steel is 120, stress in concrete crosses the limit. So we must not use these values of stresses in the equations anywhere. Okay. Then other way round. Let concrete be stressed up to its limit. So under this load, 2000 kilonewton load, let's assume that stress in concrete is its limit, that is 6 megapascal. So put sigma c 6 megapascal in equation 1. So what you will get, sigma s is equal to 90 megapascal. 15 into 6, that is 90 megapascal. Stress in concrete is 6 megapascal. So it is allowable stress. So no problem at all. And stress in steel is 90 megapascal. So it is less than 120 megapascal. So it is also safe. So yes, we should use steel and concrete in such a way that stress in concrete is 6 megapascal and stress in steel is 90 megapascal. These two values of stresses satisfy this equation. So 15 into 6 equal to 90. So we can put these values in equation 1. So put sigma s as 90 megapascal and sigma c as 6 megapascal and find the corresponding value. So as is 5952.4 millimeter square. So this is how we have found out reinforcement. Required reinforcement. Find required reinforcement. That is, find steel area of steel required. So for this concrete column, to carry 2000 kilonewton load, steel cross section required is 5952.4 millimeters squared. That is called required reinforcement. Try to understand now what I am telling you. Now, how many rods are required? That depends how thick or how thin rods you are using. Here we are asked to use 25 millimeter rods. If you use a rod of diameter 30 millimeters, say, so number of rods required are less. If you are asked to use rods of diameter 20 millimeters, so number of rods required are more. Since we are given here diameter of the steel rods to be used in this column, we will able to find out exactly how many number of rods are required. So this is area of steel. It is number of rods into cross-sectional area of each rod. So in this equation, we are substituting the values. So as we need total area 5952.4 and we got number of rods required is 12.126 millimeters. Of course, this is you should not write answer in this manner. Number of rods required must be a complete number. Either it should be 12 or 13. No, not either 12 or 13. Try to understand here. And it is not question of rounding the figure. So 12.126 is closer to 12. So number of rods required is 12. No. Remember, if you reduce number, then cross-sectional area of steel will reduce and then column will be weaker. So you should say that is number of rods required is 30. An aluminium cylinder of 7.5 centimeter in diameter fits loosely inside a steel tube having 10 centimeter external diameter and 8 centimeter internal diameter. The steel tube is 0.02 centimeter longer than aluminium cylinder and is 250 centimeters long before the load was applied. Calculate the safe load which can be placed on a rigid flat plate on the top of the steel tube. Safe stress for steel is 95 megapascal and for aluminium it is 65 megapascal. Young's modulus of steel 210 gigapascal and Young's modulus of aluminium 70 gigapascal. In this problem, you are asked to find out safe load. So of course, you must know safe stresses that are permissible stresses. In steel 95 megapascal and in aluminium 65 megapascal. How we tackle these problems? Bars in parallel, remember, use conditions of equilibrium, and when safe stresses are given, create a relation between stresses. And when you relate delta, deformations of the two materials, replace delta in terms of stresses. Try to understand. It is a steel tube, inside which it is aluminium cylinder. Steel tube is longer than aluminium cylinder. Aluminium cylinder is little shorter by 0.02 centimeter. There is a rigid flat plate. Nothing is mentioned about weight, so we'll assume the plate of negligible weight. It is placed on the steel tube. Now, since aluminium rod is shorter than the steel tube, right now you can imagine that there is a gap between this rigid plate and the steel rod. Now, if force W is applied or force P is applied, then because of that applied compressive force, steel tube will get compressed. It's possible that this disc, rigid plate, comes in contact with the inner aluminum rod also, and finally both materials, that is steel and aluminum, get compressed. So here is a two-dimensional diagram. Check. This is wall thickness of steel tube. Inside steel tube, along the axis of the tube, this is aluminum rod. It is solid body. Here is the thin rigid plate which is resting on steel tube. Aluminum rod is shorter than the steel tube by 0.2 millimeters. Area of aluminum rod, pi d squared by 4, it is 4418 millimeters squared. Area of steel, it is tube, so outer diameter squared minus inner diameter squared. And this is area of steel. Now watch here. Load P is applied on that rigid plate. So of course there is compressive load on the steel and the whole assembly gets compressed. Watch carefully on your screen. So length of the steel has reduced by delta S and length of aluminum has reduced by delta A, and finally load is taken by both the materials. So we'll proceed. Use conditions of equilibrium. And what is that? Total load on the assembly is load taken by aluminum plus load taken by steel. In this equation, PA, load by aluminum in terms of aluminum stress, and load by steel in terms of steel stress. So this is our equation 1. Relate deformations of the two materials using geometry of the system, and that is now you will understand. Watch the diagram carefully. Delta S, that is deformation in steel, is deformation in aluminum plus 0.2 millimeters. Now delta S is sigma S LS upon ES, and delta A is equal to sigma A LA upon EA plus 0.2. So when safe stresses are given to find a safe load, or safe stresses are given to find safe area, then relation between deformations and also relation between loads you better write in terms of stresses, like this equation 1 and equation 2. Okay. Now let's put values of lengths and Young's moduli. So I have substituted lengths in millimeter, Young's moduli Newton per millimeter squared, and this is how you got the relation between stresses. Remember, under load P, this is stress in steel and this is stress in aluminum. Under load P, this is stress in steel, this is stress in aluminum. These are not the stress in steel and aluminum in this assembly. These are conditions given. Stress in steel must not exceed 95 megapascal and stress in aluminum must not exceed 65 megapascal. Now like in the last problem, here we'll proceed. Let steel be stressed up to its limit. That is, put sigma S, stress in steel, 95 megapascal in equation 2, and you will get corresponding aluminum stress. And corresponding aluminum stress is 26.06 megapascal. So in this assembly, if steel is stressed up to its limit, then aluminum stress is 26.06 megapascal. These two values of stresses are under limit. This is safe stress in steel, watch here, and 26.06 is much more less than safe stress in aluminum. So this combination is safe. So put these values in equation 1 and get the answer. Do these calculations yourself, and this is how we have found out safe load. So what you have studied in the problem, so once again in the last problem and in this problem I told you that when you want to find safe load or when you want to design cross-sectional area to carry certain load, you must know safe stresses, and when safe stresses are given, condition of equilibrium, write loads in terms of stresses, and relation between deformations, write deformation in terms of stresses, and check this logic. Remember, when you put values of stresses in equation 1, those two values of stresses must satisfy this equation. And that is why one by one you should put safe stresses in the equation 2 to check that stress in the other material is under limit. And if it is, then only you can use those values in equation 1 to get safe load. A rigid weightless rod ABC supported by two wires AD and BE in horizontal position. Wire AD is made of copper. Wire AD, this wire is made of copper. Has length 3 meter and uniform diameter 2 millimeters. Wire BE, here is wire BE, is made of steel and has a 2.5 millimeter diameter and it is 2 meter long. Find stress in each wire and elongation of each wire after application of 500 Newton force. So here it is that 500 Newton force is applied. Take Young's modulus of steel 200 gigapascal and Young's modulus of copper 100 gigapascal. Now try to understand here. Before application of that 500 Newton load, rod ABC, which is rigid weightless rod. So we are asked to neglect weight of rod ABC. So before application of 500 Newton load, rod ABC is horizontal and it is supported by these two wires. When we apply 500 Newton load, this rod, because it is rigid rod, it will not bend. There is no deformation. But since there is a hinge support here, because of this force, this rod rotates about C and these two wires get elongated. Because when you apply 500 Newton force here, there will be tension in the two wires. And if there is tension in the two wires, these wires will elongate. So how much is the load on these two wires? That is, how much is tension in wire AD and tension in wire BE? We'll have to find out. So how to solve the problem? To find loads or to relate loads in these two members, condition of equilibrium, and then using geometry of the diagram, deformation. This is our approach. How we use this approach here? Try to understand. So here is a copper rod and there is a steel rod. Length of copper 3000 millimeter. It's given 3 meters here. Area of copper 3.142 millimeter square. Pi d squared by 4. Young's modulus of copper given 100 gigapascal. So here Young's modulus of copper 100 into 10 raised to 3 Newton per millimeter square. Length of steel wire is 2 meters. Cross sectional area 2.5 millimeter diameter. So accordingly, we got the cross sectional area 4.909 millimeters square. And Young's modulus of steel 200 into 10 raised to 3 Newton per millimeter square. That is megapascal. Okay. Apply conditions of equilibrium and create relation in loads on the two material. Loads on material AD and load on material BE. Load on copper and load on steel. So to apply condition of equilibrium, we should draw free body diagram. So FBD of rod ABC we are drawing here. Watch here, rod ABC. Insert all dimensions, 50 centimeters, that is 500 millimeters, 500 millimeters and 750 millimeters. Then applied load. First draw diagram of body under consideration. Then applied load. Then reaction. So where rod ABC is supported, so at point C it is hinge support, at point B it is wire support, it is steel wire, and at point A again wire support and it is copper wire. So wire support, wires always pull. So here it is pull by copper wire. Here it is pull by steel wire, pull type of force. And hinge support, so rightward reaction and upward reaction, the components of hinge reaction. Right now, this FBD is general system of forces in a plane. A general system in plane can be solved for 3 unknowns. How many unknowns are there in the diagram? TC, TS, RCX and RCY. So there are 4 unknowns. Remember, a general system of forces in a plane cannot be solved for more than 3 unknowns. So this is again indeterminate system. But no problem, you know how to solve indeterminate system with conditions of equilibrium. One more condition we are going to use, that is relation between deformations of these two materials. So let's proceed. Right now don't apply all three conditions of equilibrium. We are not interested in RCX and RCY. Right now we simply want relation between TS and TC. So apply condition of equilibrium, sigma MC equal to 0. So that we'll eliminate RCX and RCY and we'll get relation between TC and TS. So TS into 750, TS into 750, vertical force into its horizontal distance. Moment is clockwise. Then 500 into 500 plus 750, distance from moment center C is 750 plus 500. So 500 into 1250 and it is anti-clockwise moment. That is why positive. And TC into 1750, that is distance from C. And it is clockwise moment. So as usual, moment equation, and this is the relation between the loads, TS into 750 plus TC into 1750 equal to 625 into 10 raised to 3. So this is equation 1. So we got the relation between TS and TC like earlier problems, applying conditions of equilibrium. But here we used moment equation because in this case it is general system of forces. Okay. Now relate deformations of the two materials, and this part you should understand. Now focus on this. Actually, when you apply 500 Newton force, there is tension in copper, there is tension in steel, and therefore there will be elongation of these wires. And this rod is rigid rod and it is hinged at point C. So this rod can rotate about point C. So this is how I am showing now deformation of wire, copper and steel wire. Now here I am showing you deformation of steel wire and copper wire. Watch here. So this is that rigid rod. It has rotated about point C. And point A, end A of rod ABC has moved here, A dash. So this is elongation of copper wire. Here point B has moved downward. So this is elongation of steel wire. So delta C, elongation of copper wire. Here it is delta S, elongation of steel wire. And now these deformations you are going to relate using geometry. Now focus on this triangle. By similar triangle relations, delta S, height of smaller triangle divided by base of smaller triangle, that is equal to height of larger triangle divided by base of larger triangle. These two triangles are similar. So this is how we can create the equation. Or you may say in this manner, delta S, consider this smaller triangle, opposite side by adjacent side is tan of this angle. And if you consider bigger triangle, opposite side by adjacent side, again tan of the same angle. So that means delta C by 1750 is equal to delta S by 750, and this is how we have created the relation. Now since we want to find under given load is given here, simply we want to find stresses and elongations of the two wires, we'll write delta C and delta S in terms of loads only. Loads, that nothing but tension in the two wires. So delta C is equal to 2.333 delta S, and we should write it in terms of load. So PL by EA, instead of P we have used letter T here. So TC LC upon EC AC is equal to 2.333 TS LS upon ESS. Okay. Now TC into 300. Just put the values. Length of copper is 3000. Now TC into 3000 divided by Young's modulus of copper and area of copper. Just put the values, and this is how you have found out relation between tensions. So Tc is equal to 0.4977 Ts. Now replace Tc in equation 1 by 0.4977 Ts. Substitute Tc as 0.4977 Ts in equation 1. And you will get Ts. So this is Ts. So tension in steel we have found out. Put Ts in equation 2, you will get Tc also. So this is tension in copper wire. Really speaking, when you write these two equations, you have nearly solved the problem. Now just complete all calculations. Stress in steel is load on steel divided by cross-sectional area of steel. Stress in copper is load on copper divided by cross-sectional area of copper. And these are two wires, these are tensile loads. So write answer with nature. So complete all calculations. Stress in steel is 78.54 megapascal tension. Stress in copper is 61.32 megapascal tension. Now this is deformation in steel. Same formula, PL by EA. So use corresponding values corresponding to steel and you will get deformation of steel. So put the values and this is deformation of steel. Pause this video here. Do calculations yourself. Be sure that you are not facing any difficulty in calculations. Take care of units when you put the values. And this is what is deformation in steel. And of course, it is tensile force on steel, so increase in length. And deformation of copper. Increase in length. When you write deformation, what is that deformation? Increase or decrease in length, you will have to mention. And when it is stress, nature of the stress you will have to write. Develop this habit. It's very important. A load 1 kilonewton is applied to a rigid bar that is suspended by 3 wires as shown in figure. Before application of the load, the bar was horizontal. Find stress in each wire and rotation of the bar after application of the load. Take Young's modulus 200 gigapascal. Length of each wire is 4 meter and area of each wire is 8 millimeters squared. Now these 3 wires are identical. All 3 wires are of same material, same length, have same cross-sectional area. Okay. Again here load is given and you are asked to find stresses in the wire. Okay. So first of all we should find loads in the 3 wires. To find load in wire at A, wire at B and wire at C, we are going to use, like earlier problems, condition of equilibrium to relate loads and geometry of diagram to relate deformations. Let's proceed. Check what information we have. Young's modulus 200 GPa, each wire of length 4 meter, that is 4000 millimeters, and cross-sectional area of each wire is 8 millimeters. Okay, so let's draw free body diagram of rod ABC. This is diagram of rod ABC with all dimensions. Then weight of the bar is to be neglected. Nothing is mentioned about weight of the bar, so we should neglect that weight. Then 1 kilonewton force is applied. So applied force 1000 Newton. And then reaction at A, B and C. These are 3 wires. So pull type of force. So wire at A, TA, wire at B, TB and wire at C, TC. So this is complete free body diagram. It is parallel system of forces in a plane. It can be solved for 2 unknowns only. By conditions of equilibrium, we can create only 2 equations, but there are 3 unknowns. So it is again statically indeterminate problem. But really we don't have any problem because we know how to create that third equation, and that is the relation between deformations of the 3 wires, and we are going to create that relation using geometry of the diagram. So that is what you should understand in this problem. So let's proceed. First we'll apply conditions of equilibrium. It's parallel system of forces, so we'll apply 2 conditions, sigma Fy equal to 0 and then by choosing a moment center sigma m equal to 0. Let's proceed. Sigma Fy equal to 0. So TA upwards, TB upwards, TC upwards and 1000 downwards. So this is how we have created the equation. So TA plus TB plus TC is equal to 1000 Newton. This is equation 1. Now sum of moments about C, you may choose point A also. That's your choice. Moment center is your choice. You may choose point B, moment center. So I have chosen point C as moment center. So TA into 400 clockwise. TB into 200, moment center is C. So distance from point C we have considered. So TB into 200 clockwise and 1000 into 100 anti-clockwise, and this is how we got the second equation, 4TA plus 2TB equal to 1000. Okay. So by applying conditions of equilibrium, we could create two equations, and these two equations are not enough to find tension in these wires. So how to proceed? Relation between deformation. When 1000 Newton force is applied, this is how rod ABC moves downward. But check here, 1000 Newton force is closer to end C of the rod. So deformation of this wire at C will be more because tension on this side is more. 1000 Newton load is far away from this wire. So here there is tension less. So delta A is elongation of wire at A, delta B is elongation of wire B, and delta C is elongation of wire at C. Now we are going to create relation between these three deformations. Try to understand. I have drawn a horizontal line here. New position of rod ABC after elongation of these three wires, that is after application of 1000 Newton load, is this A dash, B dash, C dash. This is that rotation. Rod originally it was horizontal. The rotation is angular displacement. It is clockwise theta. So this is also you are asked to find out. Watch here. Find stress in each wire and rotation of the bar after application of the load. So this angle theta also we are going to find out. But before that, we should create relation between deformations. Focus on this triangle. Height by base of larger triangle equal to height by base of smaller triangle. A divided by 200. This distance is delta C minus delta A, and this distance is delta B minus delta A. So using geometry of similar triangles, we can write delta C minus delta A, that is opposite side by adjacent side, equal to smaller triangle opposite side by adjacent side. So let's write the equation. This is that relation. So little simplification. So this is the relation between the deformations. Okay. So we have just simplified the equation, and this is the equation. Now we'll replace delta A by PL by EA. Load on wire A is TA. So TL by EA. So let's put those values. So deformation of A in terms of load, deformation of B in terms of load, and deformation of C in terms of load. Now all the three wires have same length, same cross-sectional area, and same Young's modulus. So finally we have arrived at this equation. So now we have created three equations with the same three unknowns. So now we'll solve these three equations simultaneously, and the answers are TA, tension in wire A, 83.33 Newton, TB, 333.33 Newton, and TC, 583.33 Newton. Take a pause, do these calculations yourself. Be sure you can solve these three equations. These are the answers. So tension in the three wires we have found out. Once you get the tension, easily you will be able to find stress. Stress in wire A is load on wire A divided by cross-sectional area of wire A. So this is how stress in wire A. Stress in wire B, load on wire B divided by cross-sectional area of wire B. And stress in wire C is load on wire C divided by cross-sectional area of wire C. So this is how we found out stresses. Now next, rotation of the bar after application. So this theta you want to find out. And simple, opposite side by adjacent side. That is tan theta. And once you find tan theta, you will get theta. Now how much is this length? Delta C minus delta A. So we'll find now first delta C, then we'll find delta A, and then the difference between the two. That is this length. Rotation of the bar after application of the load. So delta A is TA LA upon EAAA. So just put corresponding values, take care of units while substituting the values. And this is deformation of wire A, elongation of wire A. So this length we have found out. So this length we know, deformation of wire A. Now delta C, so this total length, C to C dash. That is elongation of wire at C, TCLC upon ECAC. And this is how we have found out deformation of wire C also. So delta C minus delta A, that is this length. Delta C minus delta A is 1.25 millimeters. Tan theta, it's geometry of triangle, opposite side by adjacent side. So tan theta, put corresponding values. We have found out theta. It is 0.179 degrees or 0 degrees 10 minutes 45 seconds. And it is clockwise rotation. You should mention here. So this is how we have found out a rotation of the rod. Thank you for watching the video. If you are satisfied with the video, please like the video, subscribe my channel for many more such videos. And if you are interested in entire course of strength of materials, then contact me on this email ID. We'll meet soon in my next video with next topic. Till then, bye bye. Take care.